Welcome back, adventurers. This week you'll find us in Crete, still bracing storms. But in between, we take to Eloundra in the need of a hardware store, some shopping, and to take a look at another cute town on Crete. Also, we discuss a storm jib with the experts and discover if they are really a waste of money, and how staysails can be a secret weapon. So let's take a look. We are John and Ali, the Barefoot Doctors, sailing and travelling around the globe. Join us as we share the adventure and explore the beauty of the world, because life is better barefoot. Well, good morning, guys. We are at the beautiful island of Crete, and we're anchored in a bay avoiding a storm. Another one.
Yeah, so we are at Eloundra, which is just above Aos Nicholas in the Bay of Spinalonga. So it's well protected, but these storms seem to be coming through every 3 days. We have 2 days of okay weather, sometimes 20 knots, but okay, and then we get blasted with, gusting 30 to 40 knots. So every third day we're, I shouldn't say running for cover, because we know it's coming, we plan and we move to a place that's protected from that direction. This time is coming from the south, so we've come to the south end of a bay with big mountains in front of us, and hopefully that'll give us protection. 2 days ago we were at the north end of the bay protecting ourselves from a westerly storm, so we were underneath not cliffs but big hills that were protecting us from the west, and it worked pretty well. The boat now is just covered in horrible dust though. I don't know if it's Sahara dust or local dust from all the work that was being done in a little town there, but we're going to have to wash the boat, and this is just a bit of a pain in the backside actually, having to take cover every 3 days. It kind of
Different direction too, you can't sort of stay in the one spot and say, okay, well, we'll just dig in here, because the wind changes. So
if you do a passage to a new place in that day or two between the storms, you don't know if you're going to get a berth in a port, because you don't know until you get there. The mariners who answer phones will tell you, and we know that they're full, so it's a bit tricky. You don't want to be leaving to go to a place where you find is not protected.
We're going to enjoy when it's calm so that we can just
do some editing
the other stuff
when we're stuck on the boat.
Yeah. Anyway, that's life on board. We'll see you later. So we just asked the local guy, was there any space for us to come in anywhere, and he said no. He said there's not even enough space for them, the local guys. So it's pretty crowded, and it's not even high season yet. So it looks like a nice little town, doesn't it?
It does. It looks lovely.
Yeah. So we'll show you around. I bet my husband will buy me a cup of coffee or something like that. The things he has to do, hey? Of course, you always wonder where the supermarket is, because especially if you eat lots of fresh fruit and veg, which like we do, and you always run out of stuff. So here we are again, scoping out the supermarket.
Nice big sign, supermarket.
Supermarket, yay! Ooh, right next to an ice creamery and a bakery. My favourite things.
So in the old days, it used to be really hard to find places like specific bakeries, and we'd rather buy bread and croissants and nice bread stuff from a bakery, not from the supermarket, because the quality tends to be better and the choices are greater. So we just walked into a supermarket and they've got plenty of bread, but we want to go to the bakery first and then do our supermarket shopping after. So Google Maps is phenomenally useful when you're traveling and you don't know a place, because the bakeries are always small shops out the back, a block or two, not on the front, so they're hard to find. So pop in bakery near me into Google Maps or Apple Maps, and they tell you where to go. So this one is a block or two that way. Let's go.
And no, this was not sponsored by Google.
Want
to get married? There's a church. Oh, that's right, we already are.
I'm taking her up the back roads to find the hardware store, but she doesn't know whether she can trust me or not. Will I take advantage of her? I hope so.
It's those beady eyes.
hardware store. Ah, sailing store too.
Look at this. Absolutely fantastic. Well stocked chandlery. Just incredible. Nothing like going to a hardware store to make boys happy. Clips for the table, LED lights, LED lights, nice wire for Ellie, duct tape. Success! Stainless seizing wire. It's very important. We move the boat further forward. So we are closer to the mountain. Obviously we've got the buildings and the harbour in the way, so we can't go any further forward than this. But the closer you are to the cliffs or the buildings, the more you're protected, and the wind hopefully will blow more over the top. The storm is tomorrow, not today, but we are getting 33 knots of wind. Right, 30. Oh, Elizabeth says 35, and Elizabeth is always right. So now we're having a little bit of a lull. But it shouldn't be this bad. Like, you don't expect it to be this bad, because we're really here to hide from the storm tomorrow, not today. So that really is a little bit ominous. There's no logic to it. Sometimes the storms they predict are worse than they predict, and sometimes they're not as bad as they predict. And then sometimes there's no big storm predicted and you get, like today, 35 knots. That's just what you have to live with, and you have to be happy dealing with it. But once you know you can cope with 30, 45, 50, 60 knots, then you shrug your shoulders and say, haha, oh well, let's just do the anchor watch. Isn't that right, honey?
Yes, honey. Honey gets cabin fever. It's like, I've got to get out of here. Make it stop.
You could go for a swim. Trouble is it's too cold. Actually, there is work to do under the boat to give the hull a clean. So that'll distract you from the wind if you're underwater.
You only have to stay in one spot, because the boat will
move.
continue to move.
So cold in the water at the moment.
Is.
Okay.
Too early.
So the storm hasn't started, but the wind is 35 knots. So we wait in anticipation for the real storm.
While inside the cozy insulated boat, it feels like a gentle cruise. But step outside and it's like Mother Nature saying, surprise, I've brought the hurricane party.
Okay, so we've just finished the 2 days of storming with winds up to 38 to 40 knots, sitting around 30, 28, 25 to 30 consistently, and then gusting up regularly to 35 and hitting 40. So a little bit of a nuisance, but we held well. The anchor didn't move at all. But one of the things on the Leopard that I'd like to point out, one of the things that was happening was this sliding cover was rattling in the wind, like, and also, like, even if you pushed it back, the wind blew it forward, which is quite strange. So that rattling was just one of the extra noises that we were getting, as well as all the wind noise. So what I did is I jammed a bit of paper towel, and it blew away. So I actually got paper towel and wrapped it in duct tape at both sides, so those were jamming to stop the perspex from rattling, and then these two bits of duct tape stopped the cover from sliding forward. So that worked pretty well. So I'm just going to take it off now, but now you can see all the red mud. So that's the rattling we were getting. That's the solution, guys.
Look at it.
So we're about to spray the red stuff off the boat. Look at this. Yeah.
Okay.
It's filthy.
With the support of One Sail and the experience of Paolo and Paolo, and with their experience, we can discuss what could be the utility or what if it's necessary or not, or what is the best solution.
Hi, Paolo.
Hi, Paolo.
Hi. Speaking about the Staysail, so the Staysail is a very light sail. As speaking about material, it's a sail that you can put on between 70 degree and 130 degree, more or less. Will help the power of the boat and the speed of the boat. And if there is too much wind, will depower the Gennaker. It is completely different sail from a Tormentina. That is a storm sail.
Okay.
And that is, from what I understand, what you are looking for.
Yeah. I thought having a staysail, we could use it in higher winds to replace the jib, just to have it lower down, closer to the mast. So if you're trying to go upwind, I was hoping it would allow us to do that. So clearly this is not the right sail for that.
No. Usually the Tormentina on the monohull is kept together with the jib. So they reduce the jib and they put the Tormentina. They reduce the main, and the Tormentina is balancing a little bit the square meter.
Sure.
On the front of the boat with the square meter of the main. With the structure of the Portofino 52, it's impossible. And this is also a catamaran, is not a monohull. So the comportment of the boat is a little bit different. If you want to completely roll the jib and put a Tormentina that is going to be a sail for 30 knots or over wind, the issue is not on the sail, the issue is on the sheet of the sail, because first of all you have to close the jib, and then you have to use the sheet of the jib for the Tormentina.
Oh, really?
Thinking about the possibility to close the jib and switch the sheet of the jib on the Tormentina with 30-35 knots of wind and with the wave that are already a certain type of wave. It is something that is going to be quite difficult. That's the reason why One Sail was suggesting to reinforce the jib and keep the jib roll until a second or a third point without Tormentina.
My experience, and I've only used it on Genoas before, but as soon as you start rolling up a foresail, you lose the shape and you can't go upwind. With this flat jib that we have on the Portofino, what kind of, if we're having to sail if we're trying to sail upwind in 30 knots of breeze, how well is that going to work?
Well, you know that the sail that is bringing the boat upwind is the main, it's not the jib.
Okay.
It's the main that is pushing the boat upwind. The jib is pushing the boat downwind.
Yep.
We can try to do the jib as flat as possible. In this case, even if you reduce the jib, the line, the shape of the jib will still be quite flat. We have to see the result.
Now the hardware is designed and all the deck plan is made to use the same sheet for the self-tacking jib for the Staysail. So you use one or the other one. And if you want later, I can explain to you how we design, how we plan to change it when it's also windy. Everything is in a very clear plan, and you don't have to worry for that. We try to keep the boat as much as clean as possible on the deck. To make it easy and simple.
I do not expect to ever use a storm jib or a tormentina, whatever the Italian word is, because if the wind is that bad, I think we'll be putting out a sea anchor or we'll be sailing downwind. The only times that I'd ever be wanting to sail upwind in above 30 knots is if there was rocks behind me and we were trapped somewhere. We plan not to be in that sort of situation anyway, and we have engines. And obviously if you're sailing around the world and in the southern oceans, then often you're having to work your way upwind, but we're not doing that. We're sailing in the tropics, in trade wind areas. I personally think we would be using a different strategy, so I don't think we need a storm jib.
No, I don't think it's going to be funny to sail upwind with 30-35 knots of wind.
No, that sounds fine. So going back to the Staysail, the only use for that is to give a bit of assistance when you're sailing with the Jenica. Is that correct? Or do you sometimes so only with the Jenica?
Yeah, with the PFR, that will be a good help if you are going with a range of 70 and 130 degrees. So when you have the wind on the side, let's say this way, that will help the power of the boat, the speed of the boat, of course. And if there is too much wind, will cover a little bit the Jenica. Not a lot of boats are using this, but if you are on a long journey, for example, you are on the Caribbean, and you know that you are always in the Caribbean, you have always the wind on your side, more or less. So that is a perfect sail to have on board.
If you're sailing along with the Jenica or the PFR and you put the Staysail up, what do you expect to get? 1 knot of difference or 2 knots of difference? What speed change would you be getting if you're sailing already at 10 knots? Do you think you'd get a knot of difference or 2 knots?
I think that you will get 1 knot of difference.
1 knot, yeah. Okay, so 10%. Okay.
But the Staysail protect your code zero or PFR protect when the boat is come down on the wave up on the wave. The code zero or the Jenica is smooth up and down. Staysail stabilize your code zero.
Okay.
Is protect.
Okay.
But in the speed in the propulsion is very very lax. 1 knot, 1.2.
Okay.
Will not be able to use the jib with the PFR because the tack of the PFR is too near to the tack of the jib.
We need to make a decision about the Staysail then. I mean, it seems like a sensible way to go. I mean, would you agree, Rafa?
Yes.
What about the 2 Paolos? What's your thought on it?
Oh, I mean, you are buying a sailing boat. If you don't want to spend on the sail, on your boat I will have 8 sails.
I'm happy to go with the Staysail. I never really thought it was an issue. I just did my understanding of how we would use it was obviously slightly incorrect, but you've sorted that out for me today.
So our Portofino 52 is going to have sails just like this boat, and hopefully we'll see us sailing and performing in a very similar way, using 4T sails, which are recyclable, as well as the amazing IFS technology with cableless furling and nice light sails. We look forward to seeing the Portofino 52 crossing the oceans with the speed of this boat, at least in our dreams.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode and so glad we have your company each week. Thanks for your support, and especially to our Patreons that help us in helping others. Love from the Barefoot Doctors, and see you next week. Thanks for joining us on this journey, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to be a part of an exciting way to save lives around the world, join our Patreon family and get up close and personal with us.